It's not every day someone gives me a colony of ants, but when they do, I eagerly anticipate my new queen ant. But AK Colony, this is totally different. I have no idea what's inside this bucket. What do you think is inside? It better be an ant colony and not a spider. Let's find out. But before we do, welcome to another episode of The Ant Keeper, where I upload about all things ant related. If you find yourself enjoying this video, then subscribe and join the AK Colony. Your support really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Over the past year or so, some of my friends are beginning to learn that I'll do almost anything to get my hands on a new colony or discover a new species. I've been known to spend my time staring at the ground, searching for that new queen ant, which when someone sees me doing, it looks kinda strange. And this is where I feel the need to explain that I'm not actually crazy. Occasionally people send me blurry pictures of ants, or something, I can never tell what they are, hoping that I'll be able to determine what they've discovered from looking at their crisp pictures. And that's been pretty normal for me now. Until recently, when someone dropped off a bucket containing some mysterious ants. My friend doesn't know what they are, all they said was, there's a lot of them. I wonder what they could be, AK Colony. Let's find out. Before we uncover this exciting discovery, we must first create a home for them to live in. The biggest home I have for a colony this large is this 20-litre fish tank. Before we pour out our newest colony, we must first prepare for whatever is lurking inside. After all, there could be hundreds of bull ants in here, and I don't want hundreds of bull ants on my desk. This fish tank already has a hole drilled out ready to connect a piece of vinyl tubing. Hopefully this hole is big enough for whatever will be using it. Next, it's time to apply a thick layer of fluon around the edges of the top of the tank to ensure none of the ants can walk out and escape. As I was applying this layer, I thought to myself, I'm going to apply a second layer just in case there are bull ants and they try and jump out. I really don't want to be stung today. Now the tank is prepared, we can connect a nest. I've got this acrylic nest spare, which should work perfectly since this is quite likely a large colony. We want to give this colony and queen in particular as much room and choice as possible to nest in. I'm feeling quite apprehensive, AK Colony. Is there anything I've missed? I think I'm going to pour out the contents of this bucket outside. I've learned a few things from keeping ants. One thing that stands out to me most when I reflect on this is that things never go as planned. For the pouring, I'm going to take this tank set up and my cameras outside. I'm not confident I'm going to be able to get everything inside this tank, since the bucket is pretty much full and about the same width as the tank itself. It's very late now and too late to go out and buy a bigger tank, and I don't want to leave them in the bucket overnight in case the colony is seriously dehydrated. Now everything is set up outside, I feel much better. I've scattered all of my ant catching vials around the tank with several pairs of tweezers, should there be any ants trying to escape or attack. This literally felt like pouring water out of the bucket. Not tens of thousands of ants, thousands of brood and dozens of elates. They're beautiful, like sparkling rubies sweeping across a field. From a distance, it almost looks like the colony is one single organism, flowing toward a safer place. Up close, it looks a little less delicate, rather more like a mad rush. Thousands of ants, both big and small, scurrying along the soil bank, picking up their lost and out-of-place brood, and quickly depositing them in a newly forged underground lair. I really love watching colonies working in unison so quickly, without interruption, or confusion, or making a sound. Amazing, isn't it, AK Colony? Admiring aside, it's time to put my identification skills to the test and work out what species we are observing. I'll be honest and admit I'm not great at identifying ants, so let's do this together. So it's obvious to us that they're small, they're actually tiny, maybe only 2 to 5 millimeters in length. So that crosses out most genera right there. They're definitely not Polyrhacus, Camponotus, or the Mimicea genus. They're also red and coppery in colour. They do have different size casts, from tiny little ants to giant soldier looking ants. From that description alone, my initial response is to think they are Pheidoli, but they just don't look right. What do you think they are? Notice how the colony are beginning to settle down and inhabit in their new home. They've created little homes in these tiny little caverns, piling up the brood and catching their breath. And to be fair, I totally get it. I mean, what a day, just think about it. First they're inside the bucket, now in a transparent box with an invisible force field blocking them from running away. Then when they stare into the light, they see a giant with huge glass eyes focusing intensely on them. Whilst filming this next part, I got stung by several of these little ants as I tried to place in a piece of meat. They should know better than to bite the hand that's feeding them. Now, these stings are surprisingly painful, like I'm being on fire. Immediately welts appeared on my hands and I was beginning to shake. It took nearly a week after filming this until the welts disappeared. In that whole time they were itchy and very sore. I know now for certain what species of ants these are. Based on the way they look and the characteristics of their unique sting, there can only be one ant, a fire ant. Unfortunately, this is not an ant we can keep. Let me explain. Native to South America, the Solenopsis invicta is a threat to the Australian ecosystem. They feed voraciously on small ground fauna, including insects, spiders, lizards, frogs, birds, and mammals. They could displace or eliminate some native species over time. They also eat and damage seeds, which cause major changes to the ecosystem. Since these animals are so dangerous, it would be irresponsible of me to keep them, especially as an ant keeper. For if they ever got out, a colony this size would be devastating to my local area. AK Colony? I'm sorry, but I have no choice. We have to eliminate this colony right now. The fastest method to me right now is pouring boiling water into the tank. This non-chemical method will ensure our other colonies won't be affected by any drafting vapor chemicals floating in the air, and will guarantee total colony elimination. Thanks to Australia's strict biosecurity laws, we get to continue and enjoy thousands of unique fauna and flora for generations to come. If you made it this far, then make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, it really helps me out. Also, have you subscribed and become part of the AK Colony? If you haven't, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe and be a part of one of the fastest growing colonies here on YouTube. Do you have fire ants where you live? I'm curious to know how widespread they are internationally. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you everyone for watching this week's episode. I'll see you on the next video. Until then, Ant Keepers Unite.